Hello and welcome back to Space Engineers. In today's video, we're looking at another rover, which is great for exploring in survival mode and does have a rather odd driving feeling to it. It's like it's got wheels on suspensions, we'll see that a bit later on. We also have a unique way to get in and out of this vehicle where we've got like a target marker where you stand in a special ring and then the doors will fold all the way down to you to allow you to get up and inside, and it also comes equipped with a tiny little unicycle for you to drive around with and explore if you don't want to go in this slow rover. So this right behind me is called the Fareon 8x8 Explorer, which is, well, a bloody fantastic looking rover. It does not have any guns on there, so we'll be very vulnerable to drone attacks, but being you've got the unicycle in the back, you can easily just skedaddle away from combat, and we'll let the drones have their way with this rover. Anyway, pressing F10 and find this in spawn menu, the Fareon 8x8 Explorer is 3,751 small blocks, using the Heavy Industry, Warfare 2, Automatons, Wasteland, and Sparks of the Future DLC packs. You can see here a little bit of information about it, such as it uses 2 in-game scripts. Let's give this a thumbs up, move around towards the very front, have a quick look around the outside, we'll have a tour of the interior, I'll show you how the doors work, then we'll go and drive it around for a bit, try out the unicycle, and I think that'll be that. So at the very front for the Fareon 8x8 Explorer, this is what we get. So at the top, we've got a bunch of window blocks here inside, and we're going to drive this around as well as get in and out. We can also see some fantastic use of our armoured panels, making this odd little structure, almost like a cage around those glass panels, which does look very artistic and absolutely fantastic from distance. Just below here, we can see some fantastic use of our neon tubes, adding us little lights at the front, where just behind it, we can see our actual lights to light up the darkness, where just below those neon tubes, we've got some unfinished lights, which are purely there for decoration. Over onto this section, we then got a bunch of small wheels, which are sort of like a bump protection system, where if you do end up trying to go up a hill, which is very odd or very bumpy, these will hopefully prevent the bottom of the vehicle from getting scraped along and damaging anything, and should help grip as it goes all the way up the hill, just in case it does have a bit of a problem trying to go all the way up it. You want to pull away from there, move around onto the sides, past those neon tubes, round over to here. This is our doorway to get in and out. So this section right here is our ramp. Well, I suppose I'll grab my character right now. I'll just put the camera like so, find this character, turn him around, and I'm going to move him all the way up to it. As we were to approach this section, and it's the same on both sides, we'll then get a projector projecting out this little segment, where if we were to stand inside it, the doors will now open up, and it come all the way down. So there we are, that's basically your little marker telling you where the safe distance is to be away from this vehicle. Make sure you don't get squished by that ramp. Then our character can go all the way up, inside it, now it'll close up right behind it. Anyway, also on the side here we can see a bunch of sensors and projector, which is how this whole system is working. And over to this part we can see a connector to dock this thing up, an O2H2 generator, an auction tank, and then right behind there is going to be our small hangar bay, or even our small vehicle bay, where our unicycle is currently sitting. I'll put the camera all the way through so we can get a little look at that. So all the way into here, there's your unicycle. It uses one singular wheel, it's very odd to drive, but it is very fast. Can't really do corners very quickly, otherwise it will just spontaneously explode. But we'll see that a bit later on. Anyway, back over to the side, we've got some fantastic use of some steel blocks and some more neon tubes around the side of our wheels. And over onto this section, we can see even more wheels, once again acting like a small suspension system. I'm not actually sure what's going on with that, but I'm just presuming it is part of the suspension. Anyway, coming around towards the very back of this thing, this is a secondary ramp to open up to allow your unicycle to get in and out, or even your speeder bike, whatever you want to call it. It's all the hinges that allow it to fold all the way down, to allow you to easily get in and out of this. And all the way down to the bottom, some more neon tubes, this time in a red colouring. There's a button to open up our ramp from the outside. Then down to here is a small connector with some small wheels that should help out, like I said at the front, with any kind of lumps and bumps when trying to go and reverse up to it. So we come all the way down underneath it first of all, past all of this grass, and that's what it looks like. So the way our wheels have been set up is basically we've been separated in different segments, where each segment has been separated by a rotor, which, well, causes the weird driving I described in the beginning. That comes all the way across towards the very front, and there are our little wheels. If you were to put the camera slightly above here and come into this section, we can see a bunch of artificial mass which are currently turned off, but we can also see a bunch of conveyors that come up from the bottom here and all the way up to the top. It's a very, very odd system. Well, we'll see it driving around a bit later on, and you'll be able to see just how weird this thing is when it starts to drive around. Anyway, away from this, moving all the way up and looking down. So here we are, we can now look down through a window, so our chair to control this thing all the way around. We can see our projectors and sensors on the opposite side. And as we had to move all the way along, even more great use of our armoured panels, creating that lovely pattern or framework all the way around the top. And there is the top of our ramp to allow our motorbike to get in and out. And there we go. That's that for the outside of the Fareon. It looks bloody fantastic with how it's all been set up. I think this is one of the first vehicles I've seen that uses the armoured panels as it does, where it's like a small little decorative frame all the way around the glass blocks, which serves no purpose other than just be a bit of decoration, and it works so well. But now what I can do is just grab hold of my character, I'm going to eject him out of the back here, and now we're just going to walk all the way up and come over to this side, where once again we get our projector. Now we can let this ramp come all the way down, then we can walk all the way up it, and have a little explore of the interior. So walking up this and opening up the door, and closing it right behind me, we can see the ramp will automatically close up once we're on the inside. Now we can close that, neon tube on the side, a bunch of little access panels for us to play around with. Then down to there we can see our suspension grip. Into this, we can see our hinge steering. And onto the opposite side, instead of getting our programmable blocks, we then get some time blocks, and a little air vent, and a button to turn the lights on and off. Looking all the way up, there's some hinges, some decoration. Then turning towards the front there is our main seat, once again with some more fantastic use of our neon tubes, and one fantastic view all the way around this vehicle. Yes, ignoring the chair for the moment, we need to open up this, where we have a double door for an airlock, and you can see how this has been separated into a different segment. So coming in here, closing it up, closing up that one, we're now in the rear of the vehicle. That door can actually close, there we are, where we've got our unicycle and a couple of buttons where they're both the same on the both sides, but the top one's going to be to open and close our ramp, the bottom one is to turn on and off the lights. So pressing that, light goes on and off, pressing that, the ramp will now open up, allow you to get the bike in and out. With the free camera coming all the way over and then that come all the way down, just going to let that touch the ground. And any second now, there we are. So I just grab hold my character once again. We now walk all the way up this bike. It's connected up by a slightly tilted hinge. Now we can hop into this, press P, and now we can tilt it up and drive this thing away. It would have come to a third person view, that's what it looks like. It looks very precarious for how it's all been set up, and it definitely drives very dangerously, but you do want to be very careful, make sure you're not going at high speeds, especially when you're going to try and turn this thing around. Yes, we have to move all the way forwards, and in third person view, this is simply how it drives around. You might see a few pings in the distance there where I was testing one of these out earlier, and made the fatal mistake of doing a sharp corner. But as you can see, we can go bloody fast. It feels very odd only being on one wheel, where we have to keep counterbalancing it with our mouse. In first person view, it looks even more worse, especially when trying to look around. You need to make sure this is perfectly upright, otherwise you're going to have a bit of a problem. Yes, just doing a slight corner here, we will need to use the Q and E to actually make sure it tilts correctly. But turning all the way around, you can see definitely where the point of where it's going to break, which is those side sections which I just hit, and now the poor little bike has been demolished into little pieces. So grabbing hold of my character once again, bringing them back over, and coming all the way up to this, we now come back inside, close that up, there we go. And yes, it's just a nifty little bike to play around with, and one of the first unicycles that I've seen on the workshop, which while it's not on the workshop itself, it's built into this, you get what I mean. Anyway, turning around, coming back through here, closing these up, getting into our main cockpit, and these are the controls we get. So the vast majority of these controls we're not actually going to touch. The only ones that concern us are basically 2 and 3. Where number 2 is going to be for the ramp at the back to open and close it. There we go. And then number 3 is going to be for our lights to turn them on and off. Number 4 I suppose we could use for our connectors to dock it up. But number 5, number 6, number 7, 8 and 9, we do not want to touch these because they've been set up specifically for this vehicle to get around in one piece. I suppose if you're not happy with something, if you aren't experienced with how the wheels have been set up, you can always fiddle around with them. But I'm not going to do that. As for that, that is the only controls we get, so time to undo the parking brake and drive this thing around. So moving forwards, it is very, very odd to control. I cannot describe just how odd it is, especially when we're turning. It moves so much momentum into the turns when you actually hold it down, that it's just like driving a train, but without the track. Anyway, this is basically the maximum speed we're going to get up to. It's very slow because it can go very wrong very quickly. And that's simply how the wheels look. If you were to get a bit closer and turn this thing around, look at how that suspension moves. It is so dangerous. I'm expecting to blow up any second now, but I've been testing it for quite some time now. It seems perfectly safe, especially even at slightly higher speeds. But yeah, you can see just how weird this is when it drives around. As for that, that's pretty much it for the Fareon 8x8 Explorer has to offer. It's a lovely land vehicle to use in your world. If you do want to have something very decorative, this does have a little feature in the form of a escape motorbike to get away from your enemies. Well, the only thing left I can think of doing is, of course, bringing this to a stop. And now it's time to remove the speed limit from the wheels, and we're going to make it crash spectacularly at high speeds. If I can spell wheels correctly, why am I typing speedrun here? Okay, and here we go. To make it more interesting, what I've done is increase the power to the maximum, and we've removed the speed limit. You can see the wheels at the back there are not happy in the slightest. They are, well, going to visit Clang very soon. Oh god, that's a tree in front of me. That wasn't good. And, well, that felt really odd for hitting a tree. I kind of felt like the front merged into the back for a second, but it looks like we are carrying a lot of momentum around, spinning around. I'm not even sure where my character has gone, but there is a sensor right in my face. So I'm going to hop out of here, and now time to see the damage I have caused. I was expecting to get up to a bit higher speed. Let me just go and get rid of this wind paint with a machine gun. There we go, I should be able to get out of this now. There we are. And, well, that is the damage I've caused. But again, this is a perfect showcase of the wheel suspension system, because as you can see, we lost our big wheels on the top there, but look how far these wheels can actually move all the way around. It's such an odd system. But anyway, that is that for the Fareon 8x8 Explorer. It's a lovely vehicle to use in your world. There will be a link to it in the description below if you do wish to download and play around it yourself. Highly recommend you do. I'll be back with another video some point soon. Bye bye.